Welcome back, my business bestie. Today, we're having a conversation about the harder emotions that we have to feel and get used to grow. Specifically, we're going to be talking about how to handle things like risk, fear, the unknown. Anybody that wants more needs to step into the unknown to get it. Every person, every big brand, just even like a person that you look up to that might have the life that you want, I promise you they had to step outside their comfort zone. They had to feel the fear. And I want to share a little bit about how I handle that too. I've gotten a lot better with handling the unknown and uncertainty. What motivated me to have this conversation today was I listen to all of our coaching calls. I do the coaching, and then we have every day there's an expert coaching call or office hours or peer support or a co-working session. So there's always something going on, and they're all recorded for the most part. And I listen to every single one because I just want to be in the know of where my people, my members are at. And I heard somebody say, I think it was in office hours. Yeah, it was. She brought it to her head coach and she's just like, I'm about to invest in, let's say, Google Ads or a bigger website or a loan or a big bricks and mortar and this lease. And she kept just repeating, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't get them busy? What if I fail? Like I understand that Nicole says there's a map and it's a recipe, but what if it doesn't work? And I want to talk to your part that is also terrified and what ifing. And even because we're therapists, even this person who's obviously a therapist, she caught herself and she said, I know that I'm what ifing and it still feels terrifying. Of course, right? We're human beings. So how do we grow and get through and sit with and befriend these really hard emotions? A member of my team said to me the other day, you always seem calm. Like I never see you overwhelmed. And she's known me from the clinic days. I wouldn't say I'm a calm person. I'm very high energy. So when you're with me, you're not feeling zen, you're probably feeling energized. But I think she's right because I'm not an emotional person. I'm very, very, and my own therapist tells me this, which has been interesting. I just found that repeated back to me recently. I'm very, very solution focused. That's what helps me. And that's what I want to give you today, because not anymore does the unknown or uncertainty or risk actually terrify me at all. It now excites me. And I'm going to give you the recipe of my mindset that I hope you can take on. Because when Haley, my team member, said this, it made me think, okay, what is that about and how can I give it to you? Number one is back to solutions. It's very much like, and I had this huge reframe in my early 20s. I'm so happy I did, that I realized that successful people, they just do behaviors, certain behaviors that get them certain results. Pretty simple, right? But it's true. Think about that person with abs. What are they doing? They're doing certain behaviors that give them certain results. Maybe it's probably has to do with exercising amongst high protein diet, etc. So then I thought, well, the Anthony Robbins and the Oprahs and those people I used to follow back then, before TED Talk, when I was listening to my CDs in my car, I said, well, if I just do what they do, I will get similar results. And then comes in, and I hear this from some of you, it's like worth comes in. Well, Nicole, what if there's like this imposter that comes? Well, what if I'm just like not good enough, not worthy? You don't always say that out loud, but I can feel it, that there's this part of you that doesn't feel like you're good enough. In the end, the person with abs who's following a formula like worth doesn't matter. Does that make sense? So for me, that part of me, because I think we all have parts of us, of course, that feels in some ways, oh, well, what if I'm not as good as the next person? Mine is very, very, very low. Like I don't even hear it anymore. If there's a recipe, okay, you and all your therapist friends and me, we're hanging out in my kitchen. We're making Christmas cookies. It is Christmas right now. It will not be by the time this airs though. You all come, I hand you a recipe, and we all make the cookies. We follow the behaviors to get to a certain result. Does it matter? Like worth doesn't matter. And I don't believe that God, the infinite, the creator, the universe, whatever you believe, creates junk. I once heard this at a conference when I was much younger, a Millionaire Mind intensive conference. And Harv Eker, amazing book, by the way, The Millionaire Mind. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I'll link it in the show notes. He said, it's not like there's a conveyor belt of us and then they stamp some of us like, oh, this one, and this one's definitely unworthy. Oh, like, oh, I don't know about this one. This one's definitely, I don't know, something's wrong with this one, right? No. Does that make sense? That it's a recipe. And inside the clinic growth map, it is no different than a cookie recipe that you follow the behaviors, you take the actions, and in the end, you come out with the cookies. But it's our humanness and our parts that get in the way, which of course, make sense. It has everything to do with, are you your personality? Are you a risk taker? It has everything to do with your childhood. What did you see at home with your parents? How they spent money, how they invested? Did they stay in one job their whole life? Was that modeled and messaged to you, maybe directly or indirectly? I can hear you already. You're thinking, okay, I get the recipe, Nicole. What if it just doesn't work out for me? Like, what if they don't get busy? Like, that is possible. That cookies are one thing, but then there's like the economy and things changing and AI and all this stuff. And like, what if my recipe is a little skewed because the economy is like the oven and the oven isn't working like it should? So here's how I handle that. There is always a solution, always. There's a whole lot, at least 15 marketing strategies that do work. And if one isn't working, I will help you tweak it and track it and have it work, or we can choose another one. I'm sure you've heard of this term. Everything is figure outable. If you walk through your life, like Maria Forleo says, everything is figure outable, then fear really it's no longer your background music. And then deep within you, do you think you're capable to figure it out? And if not, just work with somebody who can grab your hand in those moments and maybe give you a love shake, but grab your hand in those moments and say, I got you. I got you. You're not alone. But when Haley told me that, I was really pondering and I realized something that I wanted to share. I have a tolerance for fear. I have a certain tolerance for the unknown, uncertainty, for risk that in my body, I can tolerate it and I still take action. I want to help you work on this tolerance. And it's kind of like, to use a therapy analogy, the window of tolerance for trauma. Because if you think about it, in some ways, the window of tolerance is kind of like your comfort zone. Over time, my friend, the small risks that you take will give you the wins. That's really what it is. I've just had more wins than you. So I build up this tolerance, but not doing it won't give you that tolerance. It's like your client saying, no. I can't do that scary thing. Sorry. No, thank you. Not doing the homework. I was in a bad relationship. I'm never dating again. And then they don't have that tolerance. So part of me working with you is, first we start with small steps. You build the confidence, you build the tolerance, and then you take the next step. And this is why I love our community. It was quite lonely for me because there is a certain pressure. Of course, it's so interesting because in life, we get two choices. One, we get the one where we never step outside of our comfort zone. We stay in the job, we stay in the cubicle, we hate our boss, but there's no pressure. I watch my favorite TV show every night. I sleep, depends on my boss's mood. I really want that raise that they don't give me. It's a mediocre life, but I don't have pressure. And then there's the other life, which to me was always more exciting. My soul was always pulling me towards. Now it is more terrifying. There is more pressure. It is more hard, but you have more freedom in choice and flexibility. You don't have a boss that you hate because you don't have a cubicle that is way too cold and you're freezing, but you can't control the air. You don't have, all of those things that the majority of the population have. So what would you rather? The good news is the second one, the one that I know that you want over time, does feel easier because of tolerance. Your comfort zone is directly correlated to your financial zone. Which one do you want? Do you want more? Of course, it's going to require more for you. And isn't it great news that over time, it does feel easier? I'm on the other side. And that's also how confidence is built. You choose option B. It's like I give you, the red pill and the blue pill, and you go with the good one, the life-changing one, the holy cow, my grandma's grandma would never in a million years even fathom the life that I have. In some ways, there's so many women before us, men before us that didn't have a choice, guys. Didn't have a choice. The world was very different. And for me, I just felt, if anything, I had to do it for them so I could shift the complete lineage of my family coming from blue collar workers. My grandparents worked at the hospital, in the cafeteria. My mom didn't work because of her mental health, but shifting this for my kids' lives will be completely different. They will never know what I knew in my own childhood. I want to talk for a second about hard work. There's the fear, but there's also this level of hard work. Those that are successful have to work harder. They're outliers. And so to be an outlier, it takes a bit of a hustle, as well as trusting in the universe and being open to receive. So there's like oscillating between hard work and also leaning back to receive. I had a conversation with a friend a couple months ago, and she said, "You remind me of my husband. Both of you work really, really hard." And she said, "Honestly, Nicole, I'm not really like that. Like there's a part of me that's a bit lazy. I procrastinate. I honestly love watching TV. I love chilling." And she was trying to pick my brain, like, help me understand it because I want it, like, give it to me. So I was reflecting, and she said, "Well, the one thing you and my husband have in common is he was raised in the Caribbean and came to Canada as an immigrant and didn't have the best. It was hard. Life was hard as a kid. And I know, Nicole, that was the same for you, growing up in the trailer park with no money." And I thought about it, and I want you to look back at your own childhood, because there is something about, I'm not afraid of hard. There's two pieces. I'm not afraid of hard. Can you look in your past for me? Because yes, maybe you were blessed with a pretty good childhood. You felt loved, but probably there were other times in your life that were really, really hard. Maybe it was that breakup, that divorce, that miscarriage, that where you thought you would get into school and it did not work, that illness, that death, that was so hard. And you got through it. That's what I want you to remember in these times when you're what ifing, that it's like, wait, if you deeply know in your gut that you will always, because it's who you are, figure it out, then the fear dissipates. It becomes this open road of infinite possibilities. For me, that's exactly it. There's that piece, but then also I know what rock bottom feels like financially a few times in my life. I'll link to an episode, the time I almost went bankrupt. And I got through it. That gives you the confidence. So maybe for you too is that financial thing. That should be giving you confidence, because it is a fact that you can get up after you fall. That's a fact. Lean into the logic when emotion is high. When I became pregnant with twins, I was amazed. They're natural, by the way. So it was just so shocking because they came quite immediately after we got married. And I'm a very independent person. So I didn't even invite my husband to the ultrasound. I kind of told him about it, and I'm like, well, it's fine. You don't have to be there. It's the first one. Like, they're just going to make sure that there's a baby, right? And so he wasn't there, and the nurse was taking her time. My friend had just had an ectopic pregnancy. Do you know what that is? It's really horrifying, where your body thinks there's a baby, but there's not. So I'm laying in the ultrasound room looking up at the ceiling, manifesting a baby, because I'm like, I hope, please, please, please be a baby. Please, please, please. Because I was living vicarious trauma through this awful thing that had just happened to my friend. And the nurse was taking her time, and I'm like, oh God, there's no baby. And then the nurse asks me, have you been getting is this your first ultrasound? I said, yeah. And I had been getting these twinges, like pinches, and I didn't know if that was normal. And she said, she had a bit of an accent, and she said, you have twinge. I was like, yeah, no, I've been getting these weird twinges. And then she said, no, you have twins. I'm like, wait, hold up. Did you just say I'm having twins? And she's like, yes. And here are the 2 heartbeats. And I'm like, oh my God, Dan's not here. But in that moment, it was like a miracle, right? I think I might have dropped 2 eggs because I was 35 and twins run in my family. A little after, it was pretty nice in some ways because I got to call him and make a phone call that I knew that would change his life. And we cried, and it was just so beautiful. Shortly after that, I did have the thought, oh my God, this is going to be hard. I'm super excited. I have twin cousins. My grandma was a twin, so I know I can do it, but it's going to be hard. How do I even breastfeed 2? How do you hold 2? I only have 2 arms, but there's 2 of them. And then I had the thought, wait, I can do hard. I can do hard. Have that be your mantra. I can do hard. Pause me, say it out loud. And the other mantra that I know you love, I'm going to say it again and remind you of it. Do it scared. Don't you love that? Do it scared. The successful people, every single one of them, had to do it scared. I'm also going to link, I have one other episode where I walk you through how I became confident. There's 2 stories that I think you'll love in that episode. So please click on that and listen to it. I'll make sure it's in the show notes. I want to leave you with this. Yes, it takes tolerance. Yes, it takes hard work. But then there's also remembering that you are a masterpiece because you are a piece of the master. One of my mentors always says that. Isn't that beautiful? You are someone because you're some of the one. There is something infinite that guided you to me, that is guiding you to even want more, and really slowing down enough to remember that and pay attention, because there are synchronicities always. There is infinite flow of abundance, a stream of abundance showering all the time. But we stop and we what if, and we focus on lack, and we focus on fear. But if we can just breathe deep and trust, and I know it takes practice, just keep coming back to this podcast, because in those moments where I meditate and I slow down even for 5 minutes, I'll link a meditation for you too, okay? In the show notes, you're getting so much today. If I just slow down and connect, I feel perfectly fine. I remember, wait, okay, there you are. I actually connect to my own essence, and I calibrate my energy to that infinite power, that source, that quantum field, that portal that is holding up all of the planets in this very moment in perfect orbit. Even the oxygen that you're breathing in as you listen, did you know if that was off, just one little molecule, none of us would be here. There's this magical power that we can tap into. It's inside of us, and it just takes slowing down enough to remember, and then lean back and trust. Take that away, my beautiful friend, and I'll see you next week.